Hey, good morning. It's Joe. Welcome to my scripture reflection for Sunday, September the 22nd. Hope all is well with you on this Sunday morning. Started off this day taking the dogs for a nice walk on a cool, crisp morning. And I've been reading a lot about, getting in touch with nature, so to speak, and really focusing when you're out on a walk, the beauty of the trees, the squirrels, the birds, whatever it may be that's coming your way, and to really try to connect with them. And I've realized more and more that it takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of focus because I can't be thinking about what I was doing before the walk or what I'm doing after the walk or what I'm doing tomorrow. I have to focus on that moment and what's happening there and really make that connection. It's so important for us, isn't it, to focus on the moment, and that will be certainly something we will talk about as we explore today's gospel. So I will ask you to quiet your minds and hearts as we prepare to hear today from St. Mark, chapter 9, verses 30 to 37. Jesus and his disciples left from there and began a journey through Galilee, but he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And 3 days after his death the Son of Man will rise." But they did not understand the saying, and they were afraid to question him. They came to Capernaum, and once inside the house he began to ask them, "What are you arguing about on the way?" But they remained silent. They had been discussing amongst themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down the 12 and said to them, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and the servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in his midst. He putting his arms around the child, he said to them, "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me." It's very interesting as we look at this gospel that there is stress amongst the disciples when Jesus mentions that he will be taken to his captors and killed, and 3 days later will rise. This is something that causes stress and argumentative behaviors because it is a stressful moment that appears to be all negative. And then, not long after that, somehow their discussion shifts, and it shifts to who's the greatest amongst them all. But they were arguing again. And this argument was on something that appeared to be something very positive in nature. Who's going to be the greatest? Who's going to strive to this level of greatness? Whenever we have extremes, we will have stress. Whenever we have extremes and then connections with others, there will be disputes, arguments. It's a reality. Check back into your recent past and you will see that it is true. However, I think it's important to now look very close at the gospel and then look close at these situations in our own life. There is nothing totally negative about Jesus' comment of being handed over. This is a lesson in sacrifice. This is a lesson in love. This is a lesson in who he was and what his mission was about. And it should not all be in a negative thought process. There's some positives in there, isn't there? And then when we have the who's the greatest, it's not all positive, is it? Think back to all the lottery winners. Where are they now? Most of them have fallen on hard times. When we get to this position of greatness, all of a sudden jealousy and ego can come in, and there's not all positive, is there? Look back at the situations in our life, and when we have them in our mind and we can evaluate them, especially since they're in the rearview mirror, I'm sure we see the same thing. Nothing was all negative, nothing was all positive, but it seemed to raise our emotions to a point where there was arguing. So Jesus, of course, the ultimate teacher, does the ultimate act and brings a little child into his midst. And Mark is so descriptive, isn't he? He brings the little child in, and you could almost see and feel Jesus putting this child next to him to make a powerful point. And that point is, think like this child who doesn't think in all negatives, doesn't think in all positives, thinks only what's before them at that moment, thinks only what can happen in a positive way about anything that's going on. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of seeing our granddaughter, almost 4 years old now, out there playing soccer, and all the kids running around playing soccer. And I couldn't help thinking about this gospel and how they were having just a good time and enjoying it. There was very little in terms of disputes. There was very little in terms of arguments. Certainly was no who's the greatest. But years later, they'll enter into more competitive soccer. And can they hold that same thought process? Hopefully they will. But hopefully we will as well. Because every day something is before us that mirrors this gospel, something that appears totally positive or appears totally negative, that appears that it have argumentative issues or stress issues related to it. And it's up to us to put our mind where it needs to be, realizing there's all in all, so to speak. And if we focus on the moment and what's before us and what it's doing for our life of faith and our life of compassion and peace, well, then we won't be arguing as much, but we will be that child in Jesus's midst. And what a powerful and positive place that is. Well, my friends, that's my message for you on this Sunday morning. As always, I hope it was helpful. I always welcome your comments and your thoughts, and I always appreciate you being here with me and joining me in these very nice moments. This week, I have a little bit of change in my schedule. Tomorrow, Monday, we will have an animal spirituality video. And then on Wednesday this week, we will have a scripture reflection. Okay, my friends, I wish you all a wonderful Sunday, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow. Take care.